Brown v. Board of Education is one of the most well-known court cases in United States history. This case ended racial segregation in public schools, opening up many opportunities for people of color. Brown v. Board of Education may not have been such a successful case without Mendez v. Westminster, which ended Latino segregation in the Orange County School District. Mendez v. Westminster was a community effort and was vital in the fight against Latino segregation. In Southern California in the early 1940s, most Mexican-American students attended segregated schools and some attended mixed schools, which enrolled students of different races. The school districts claimed that the segregation was based on language differences between white students and Mexican students. The Mexican schools trained their students in manual skills, and the white schools academically trained their students. The Mexican schools served as facilities that supplied cheap labor, while the white schools provided opportunities for social mobility to their students. The physical buildings of the Mexican schools were also much smaller and more inhospitable than the white schools. Segregation was a controversial topic even among white people. Some white people believed that educating Mexican populations would lead to an unwillingness of Mexican people to take low-paying labor jobs, so they opposed education for Mexican people. White educators supported segregated schools for Mexican-American students, believing that education would be an opportunity to assimilate the Mexican population into United States society. One method of assimilation was to ban the use of Spanish in schools. Segregation was reinforced by the results of IQ tests that may have been administered only in English. Students who did not speak English as their primary language may have received low scores that did not accurately represent their intelligence. These different views on segregation reinforced stereotypes that Mexican people were stupid and established a system of educational suppression of Mexican-American students. In 1945, 5 different families joined together and filed a class action lawsuit against 4 school districts in Orange County on behalf of about 5,000 Mexican-American and Latino people. These families accused the school districts of discrimination through segregation. The court case named Mendez v. Westminster School District of Orange County became one of the most impactful court cases in the Southwest. Gonzalo Mendez was a Mexican migrant worker raised in Southern California, and Felicitas Mendez was a Puerto Rican migrant whose family had worked in Arizona before settling in Southern California. Gonzalo and Felicitas married and leased a farm in Westminster with their 3 children. When the Mendez children were denied admission to Westminster Elementary School on the grounds of language deficiency, the Mendez family organized a group of parents and petitioned the superintendent of the Westminster School District to desegregate the schools. The superintendent offered to make an exception and enroll the Mendez children, but the Mendez family denied this offer and continued to fight for desegregation. They organized community members and hired an attorney, David Marcus, who had experience with desegregation cases. The case boiled down to a violation of the 14th Amendment, which grants all citizens equal protection of the laws. The court examined whether segregation based on language resulted in social inequalities, which would violate the 14th Amendment. They found that the segregation was often determined by the Latinized or Mexican name of the child, not by the child's spoken language. They also found that the practice of segregation hindered students' abilities to learn English and suggested inferiority of segregated Latino students. Based on these conclusions, the court ruled that the Orange County School District violated the 14th Amendment. The school district tried to appeal the case, but the decision remained unchanged. The end to educational segregation was an incredible victory in the civil rights movement. Decades of educational suppression in the first half of the 20th century served to hold control over people of color. Mendez v. Westminster was a landmark historical event that facilitated empowerment and social mobility of the Mexican-American community. The community energy that went into this case manifested in later movements like the Chicano movement. The legal case served as a precedent to Brown v. Board of Education, which ended legal educational segregation. While there are still disparities in educational opportunities afforded to the Mexican-American community, this case led to a huge improvement in the lives and opportunity of Latino people.